Hello everyone, welcome to episode 16 of Brown Bird News. It was so much fun to hear from you about your experiments with birdseed, and it looks like black sunflower seeds are the most popular everywhere. Well, I'm going to grow sunflowers this summer. Have you tried growing them? A few weeks ago, we ran a story about a chickadee with a crossed bill. Well, a deformity like this is rather unpleasant for chickadees, but there are birds out there who are born like that for a reason. Meet the red and white-winged crossbills. These birds live off pine cones, but they can visit your bird feeder. Have a look at the pictures that Leslie Burgum sent to us. Isn't that amazing? Thank you, Leslie. Crossbills breed in the winter, early spring, when conifers are full of pine cones. So I suggest you move your bird feeders as close to a pine tree as possible. If you have a spruce tree, that's even better. They love spruce. And then keep an eye on them. Write to me if they do visit your feeders. This week, we have received the most pictures we've ever gotten. So we narrow them down to 5. And today, we're giving away Brome's flagship feeder, the Squirrel Buster Plus. And the fun thing about this feeder is that you can get all kinds of accessories that go with it. And so the winner is Lise Halloran with her picture of a hawk who was actually pestering her birds. Congratulations, Lise. Keep them coming. Photos at brownbirdcare.com. This week's question for Dr. Bird is from John Nels from Toronto, who has just added another feeder to his collection, and he's a bit concerned. So he writes to us, how close together or far apart should the feeder be? Does it make a difference for the different species of birds?
Hi, John. I've got 3 Squirrel Buster feeders and a suet feeder hanging from my eaves in front of my kitchen window. The arrangement works well for my viewing pleasure, and all the birds, including finches, juncos, nuthatches, chickadees, and woodpeckers, seem to get along just fine. They really don't display any kind of territoriality around these feeders, unlike my pugnacious little hummingbirds with their nectar feeders. The main concern you have to think about when putting feeders near windows is collisions. Believe it or not, feeders are safest when they are closest to windows, within 3 feet. That way the birds can't build up any momentum to injure themselves should they become startled and fly into the windows. Failing that, it's best to place them about 30 feet away from a window. One must keep in mind that hundreds of millions of birds are killed by windows each year in North America. It's best not to contribute to those numbers.
Thanks, David. If you have questions for Dr. Bird, write to him at askdrbird@brownbirdcare.com. I've told you about the incredible comeback of the California condor. Well, this week I'd like to tell you about another slightly slower but still very important comeback. The whooping crane, the tallest bird in North America, is up to 600 birds living in the wild. Can you imagine in 1941 there were only 21 birds left? How did scientists do that? Well, it was a long process. First, they removed eggs from whooping crane nests and placed them in sandhill crane's nest. That worked very well until whooping cranes decided to mate only with sandhill cranes. Well, after that, scientists decided to incubate eggs in labs. It was very important to make sure that the youngsters wouldn't imprint on humans, so scientists had to wear whooping crane costumes and teach the lab birds how to migrate with an ultralight aircraft. Here's a tough one. A couple of weeks ago, I talked to you about how airports and birds don't mix. Well, a few years ago, 3 snowy owls were shot at JFK Airport, New York, because they posed a threat to planes taking off. That caused a huge outcry, and Kennedy Airport had to implement a program to trap and relocate birds. Well, how would you react if I told you that after a second ruling, Kennedy Airport is now allowed to shoot birds that are considered a possible threat to airline traffic? On Around the World, there are 2 things I'd like to mention to you. First, scientists have finally been able to figure out how hard a secretary bird can kick. And boy, it kicks faster than we can blink, and it's deadly accurate. Well, I guess you have to be super fast and super accurate when your favorite meal is one of the most poisonous snakes in the world, the black mamba. Another incredible thing is a human invention. You know, researchers have always had problems with GPS transmitters because either they were too bulky or the batteries didn't last long enough to transmit enough data. Well, just recently, a group of scientists in Israel have created a tiny transmitter that can be harmlessly attached to almost any bird and will transmit data every 2 seconds for up to 4 months. Incredible indeed. Today on Mark Your Calendar, I'd like to talk to you about a festival that takes place in Canada, the Brant Wildlife Festival. It's spread out over a month and it will be running from March 19th to April 17th. Robin Rivers, the coordinator of the festival, sent me some pictures. Here are some of the activities.